Now then, people, and welcome back to episode 2 of the Premier League wrap. I hope you are all doing well. It was a great weekend for my team, obviously. Not so many great times for some of the top teams, though, and a bit of a wild weekend in the Premier League, I can't lie. VAR controversy, standard procedure right now, isn't it? Big results for those at the bottom of the table, and full heads gone moments for some.
It is an absolute disgrace.
Before we get into it, folks, I just want to shout out these two legendary sponsors, both Fantasy 5 and Cool Media. Cool Media is a marketing advertising agency, so if your business wants to generate more leads, inquiries, then make sure you reach out to Cool Media Marketing, and they'll sort you out a free digital audit on ways that they can help your business. And also offer free impartial advice for anyone using already paid advertising through the likes of Google and Facebook. So make sure you check them out, links in the description. And of course, Fantasy 5. How did you do this weekend? As fantasy football goes, it was a pretty torrid weekend for most. None of the big hitters getting points. Manchester City scored 6 goals and Haaland went off at half-time. Saka drew another blank. Salah didn't get a goal or an assist. And you can see here, I had Haaland, Calvert-Lewin, Saka, Watkins, Núñez, and none of them got more than their predicted points total. So not a great weekend for me, but I don't think it was a great weekend for all fantasy managers. Let's be real. Who's picking Mykolenko against Brighton? We all expected Villa to win. And of course, Luton Town got an unbelievable point against Liverpool. I've gone early this week, though, with my predictions. Let me know your thoughts. Make sure you join up to Fantasy 5. Link is in the description. As I say, that may change and we will discuss it later on the week as we get closer to game day. So without further ado, let's get into it. Please do smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, get your comments in, and of course hit that notification bell. I suppose there's only one place we can start really, of course, and that is St James's Park, where Newcastle run out 1-0 winners against Arsenal. The thing is, Arsenal have hit a bit of a poor run of form after beating City, and guess who now sits top of the table? Manchester City. They beat City and it's like, oh, the title race is on, they're going to do it. Myself included, gets carried away with it. And now City are back top of the table after they demolished Bournemouth 6-1. We'll talk about the Doku show shortly, but we have to talk about Arteta and Arsenal. Arteta with an absolute heads gone moment.
It's an absolute disgrace.
If you haven't watched the post-match presser, please do. It's one for the ages, if you like. And listen, I enjoy it. I'm a bit like Jamie Carragher when he said, listen, I enjoy that. It shows how emotional the manager is. You know, I'm an emotional football fan as well, pure vibes, and he understands how big this is for Arsenal. As I say, you get shot in the arm after beating City a couple of weeks ago, and now you're on a bit of a torrid run and you're thinking, well, we haven't really capitalised on that 3 points we took from the champions. But we've got to talk about VAR and the controversy surrounding it. I've watched it on a number of occasions. I've listened to a lot of takes. I genuinely don't know how I feel about the situation. I'm not convinced that Gabriel's fouled by Joel Linton. I think the ball comes across, he misjudges the header. The ball being out of play, it wasn't conclusive either way. So therefore, you have to go with the on-field ref decision. I understand Arsenal will be upset, but ultimately the ref thought it was good. And if we didn't have VAR, we'd just accept it. I think for me, the person who's most culpable is David Raya. The way that he attempts to defend this cross is absolutely abysmal. Listen, I'm a massive fan of Ramsdale. I think Arteta's sort of sewn his rod for his own back with the way that he's dealt with this goalkeeper situation. He's putting unnecessary pressure on them both, and they're both faulting because of it. I've seen some quite interesting takes, and listen, tinfoil hat brigade kind of vibes.
Do you still think the royal family were shape-shifting lizards?
Yes, I do.
Big up to Mark Goldbridge. He came out and he thinks there's some skullduggery going down. And the way he puts it across, you sort of have to agree with him a little bit.
You've got Neville Carragher saying get on with it, and now you've got Michael Owen saying get on with it, if that's true. Who does the show with Howard Webb? Michael Owen. Who's had Howard Webb on their show? Gary and Jamie. Start opening your eyes to what's actually going on here.
He makes some fantastic points. The ones that are defending the PGMOL and those that are in bed with the PGMOL. I don't know which way to go. I'm already deep into conspiracies in life in general. I don't need to now get involved in them in football. My head would explode. Just keep the beautiful game beautiful, please. But is it any surprises it's a shit show? The guy that's running it, he's an ex-cop, so we know, jobs for the boys and all that jazz. Keep things in-house. Goldbridge is probably onto something. But look, just on the game itself, listen, Kai Havertz should have been sent off. It's a reckless, endangering challenge that he's made on Shah, and ultimately probably should have seen red. He gets away with a yellow, and because it's his trailing legs, I think if he connects, they upgrade it to a red on VAR, but because his trailing leg touches, I mean, listen, intent for me, it was all about the intent. He tried to do him. He should have seen red. I think Bruno Guimaraes got lucky as well with the way that he just stuck the elbow in, born out of frustration. It was quite a fiery affair, but Newcastle and St James's Park was bouncing, will be bouncing. A lot of talk was made about them not being able to progress, if you like, and get top 5 again, but they've had some really good results of late. Of course, they play midweek against Dortmund. They have to win that in order to progress in the Champions League, but I like to see Newcastle doing well. But then again, I like Arsenal, isn't it? So I'm a little bit in the middle, if you like. But ultimately, I would much prefer games to not be shrouded in VAR refereeing controversy. I think we all want that. But unfortunately, you can't get what you want, because we have another instance. Sheffield United versus Wolves. Big up to the Blades, my fellow Yorkshire brethren. Big up Hal and Nick from the Sheffield United way. They got their first win of the season. Looking forward to that massive 12-point mark so they don't break Derby's record. But Ollie Norwood popped up on what was the 100th minute to dispatch a well-taken penalty. Was it a penalty? The answer is no. That's twice now, if not 3 times, Wolves have been had by absolutely shocking refereeing decisions. We had the one at Newcastle, we had this one at Bramall Lane, and who can forget when Onana should have been done for GBH? So I feel really bad for Wolves. I actually like what Gary O'Neill and they're doing this season, and you would think with Neto playing, they probably win this game. He's that pivotal and integral to what they're doing. And just a hot tip to January, or certainly the summer, they're going to struggle to keep hold of Neto. Now let's move on to that team as well. They got a 91st minute winner against Fulham at Craven Cottage. I backed Fulham before this game. I think Man United again, of course, you win a last minute. No celebration police here. Of course, you're buzzing. But ultimately, they were rubbish again. Harry Maguire, I mean, listen, we're all talking about VAR and it's going to overshadow a lot of what went on. But Harry Maguire, there was some shaded goings on at Manchester United, you know, because Ten Hag post-match, oh, Harry Maguire, yeah, issue with his head. And then someone asked the question, did you mean hand? And he was like, yes, I meant hand. Because obviously Varane's injured. Man United have got some big games. Had he have been taken off through concussion protocol, then he wouldn't have been able to play in these games that are coming up. So that's the real skullduggery that's going down there. Forget the VAR. Man United were up to some corruption there.
It is an absolute disgrace.
And ultimately putting the risk of their player at further harm, because let's be real, Maguire was all over the shop. Almost instantaneously after the injury that he received to his head, he passed the ball out of play, he's pointing at Willie, and he's all over the shop. Now, of course, Maguire's going to want to play. Man United clearly need him to play because they've got some massive games coming up. But that's a bit shady if you ask me. But back to the game itself. As I say, Fulham can't finish the dinner. Man United come up 91st minute. It's a catalogue of errors, I can't lie to you. I thought Polina would deal with it, but no, they just keep putting it into dangerous areas. Maybe Leno could have done better, but it is a little bit of quality from Bruno, and he does find the corner, and Manchester United pick up a well-needed 3 points because they've got 2 Champions League games this month and play Luton and Everton, so he needed some points, otherwise it'd be... And let's talk about Luton now. Valiant effort at home, Kenilworth Road. Listen, the funny thing is, this was Liverpool's bogey side back in the 80s. And when they went 1-0 up, I'm saying to myself, why didn't you just stick a fiver on them to win? You knew. You were told it's their bogey team. And Chong put them in front on the 80th minute. Sometimes stories take over in football. And I think even Luton fans, players can sort of forgive themselves for the person that actually scored the goal. Of course, Luis Diaz on the 95th minute came up with an equaliser. Listen, all thoughts with Luis Diaz and his family. His mum's been returned after being kidnapped, of course, but his dad's still with the kidnappers. I think it's insane that he's back in England and playing. I know I wouldn't do it. This is facts, I'm telling you. I'd be like, no, not till my dad's back. But he's come back and he's come off the bench and ultimately rescued Liverpool a point. So big shout out to Luis Diaz. We are going to have to speak about Darwizzi as well. You know, I'm a fan of his. You know, I spoke about it last week saying the effect that Marcelo Bielsa has had on this man. And then when I see the miss, We know what we're talking about. I know it's offside and we know he's inconsistent, but he is getting in the right positions. And I always remember Bielsa saying, the issue is if he's not getting in the positions, then you need to worry. I just feel that almost Darwin Núñez is Bamford times 10. I'm not saying they're anywhere close in quality. That's why I say times 10. He's streets ahead of him. He's got so many facets to his game. But in terms of his finishing, he'll just continuously be inconsistent. We've seen it from Bamford. He can miss sitters and then score wonder goals against Villa and get a hat-trick. That's Darwin Núñez times 10. Darwin Núñez is Paddy Bamford on roids. That's probably why Bielsa loves him so much. But that miss, I mean, Salah's not looking to the assist. Salah should score. But when it falls to Núñez, oh my God.
It's an absolute disgrace.
The other game on Sunday was Nottingham Forest 2, Aston Villa 0. Changing goalkeeper for this one for Nottingham Forest. Vlachodimos came in for this for his long-awaited start in the Premier League. So any FPL managers who have Matt Turner, you might want to get him transferred out now because I think Vlachodimos will be the number one. But 2 goals and a clean sheet against this Aston Villa side is a great result for Steve Cooper and Nottingham Forest. I know Nottingham Forest, with the start to the season, might have started to worry a little bit, but that win sees them leapfrog Chelsea into 12th, and Nottingham Forest over the course of this season will be totally fine. Ultimately, the teams at the bottom are just not good enough. And Luton's well-deserved points seen them jump out of the relegation zone, and they were replaced by Idoni Iriola's Bournemouth as they were slapped up 6-1 at the Etihad. And it was the Jeremy Doku show. 4 assists and 1 goal. I was fuming as an FPL manager, as a Fantasy 5 manager, seeing Haaland come off at half-time and then go on to score 6 goals. Max Aarons and Luis Sinisterra combined for Bournemouth, but ultimately they were slapped up. It don't really matter. Rats, the pair of them. But what a buy Jeremy Doku is. 60 million, 21-year-old. Pep's been saying he's surprised at how much he's learned in such a short space of time. And in terms of standing a player up and being one-on-one, there's not that many better. Genuinely, in the Premier League already, there's not that many better. He's right up there, and he's only just arrived. It will be massively interesting to see how this transpires over the course of the season with Jack Grealish playing on the left and Jeremy Doku can play out there, and you know there might be issues there, but this is the thing with Pep, right? Different players, different games. He will make it work. But Man City back top of the tree. Of course, we have Spurs versus Chelsea tonight, and hopefully Spurs win that because I want to see a title race. But yeah, Jeremy Doku, what a player. And listen, I know 60 million's a lot for a 21-year-old, but doesn't it make you laugh? Across the city, Old Trafford, they paid £90 million for Anthony, the £90 million fidget spinner.
We are laughing.
Which is a lovely little segue into the next game, Brentford versus West Ham. The reason I say that is because Kudos scored again and another lovely goal for West Ham. Yes, they didn't win the game, but there's someone who looks every bit the top player. And West Ham paid about 40-odd million for this guy. And guess what? He was in the same Ajax side that Erik ten Hag managed. So of all the players he could have brought over from Holland, because that's all he's got in his locker. Either over-the-hill, washed-out players or anyone he's managed in Ajax. And the one player he should have bought, for a fraction of the price may I add, he's now playing at West Ham. It's just another chance to laugh at how clueless this manager is. But getting back to this game, it's now 3 wins on the spin for Brentford. Listen, I'm a massive, massive fan of Thomas Frank, and he doesn't get the plaudits he deserves. Sometimes people might look at the way he plays and think, I don't want that style at my football club. But let's not forget this Brentford side, being a Championship fan, cooked when they were in that division. Give this man better players, you will see a better brand of football. And I don't think it's going to be long before he makes that next step up. Someone needs to give the guy a chance. I genuinely believe that. Neil Maupay finally got on the score sheet. It was a really good game. And as I say, Brentford won 3-2 with a winner from Nathan Collins. We've just got 2 games to finish up on now. Everton 1-1 with Brighton goals for Mikalenko and an own goal from Ashley Young. Brighton just can't seem to keep clean sheets. And I do believe this European football is maybe causing them issues because they haven't been the best of late. But they do have some very favourable fixtures coming up. So fully expect them to start to see some wins on the board. As for Everton, even with a points deduction, this team will not go down. Sean Dyche now is getting wins. As I said, we were talking about a minus 12 points deduction. Since then, they've got 4 points on the board. So even if they get this, you know, they're still going to be totally fine. And if Calvert-Lewin can stay fit for the rest of the season, they'll be well clear of it. even with the points deduction. And let's finish up now with Burnley. Burnley, again, got beat 2-0 by Crystal Palace at home at Turf Moor. And, you know, we were talking earlier on about Goldbridge, and he was saying, you know, like, the likes of Carragher, Owen, Gary Neville, who are, you know, in bed, if you like, with the PGMOL, haven't said anything. I also feel a little bit like this when it comes to Vincent Kompany. When is anyone going to criticise him? When are they going to call him out? They're talking about Sheffield United, they're talking about Luton, but no one talks about Vinny Kompany. Why? Because he's well respected within the game, but that's not fair. I get some of his used to play alongside him, play with him, but ultimately he's come up to the league and he's been naive. They've spent a hell of a lot of money. The transfer policy hasn't worked, and he continues to go with his principles. And sometimes you need to say, you know what? I need to rip it up, a la Steve Cooper at Nottingham Forest. And now look at them. They'll be a comfortable Premier League team now for years to come. Now, maybe Burnley fans are just happy to be here because, of course, they smashed the Championship last season. They won the title at, you know, arch rivals Blackburn, so he can do no wrong. And I get it. I do get it. But I just wish there was a little bit more criticism sent his way, because I don't think it's fair on the rest of them. But look, I think that's everyone. Thanks as always for watching. Please make sure you smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, comment in notification bell. For any Championship fans and Leeds fans, I'll be back tomorrow night, so we will be doing a watch along for Rotherham versus Ipswich. Make sure you check out these lovely sponsors. Fantasy 5, get your predictions in for next weekend as well, and I'll see you on the other side. Peace out.